A couple of days ago, I made a video about Fnatic and how they crashed out of the EMEA playoffs and what is going wrong for that team right now. But then another team did a similar thing in EMEA, because Fnatic ultimately lost to BBL, then beat Comical and lost to Giant X here and went out in 5th 6. But another team who went out in 5th 6 without winning a single map was Team Heretics, who lost 2-0 to BBL and then 2-0 to Na'Vi. And whilst it may seem similar on paper, it's actually not similar at all, because the thing is, Fnatic had been struggling and you could see some of their map pool struggles even during the group stage. However, that was not the case for Team Heretics, because Team Heretics won every single game and only lost 2 maps in their group stage. So they were very much on top form coming into the playoffs. The other thing that is different is that Fnatic had already qualified for champs, whereas Team Heretics are now relying on Team Liquid to make the grand final. Otherwise, they won't be in champs whatsoever. And so we're going to take a look at the game versus Na'Vi here for Team Heretics. Now, their Icebox, they got absolutely destroyed. And to be honest with you, Team Heretics' Icebox is just not very good. And if they do make champs, that's fine, because Icebox won't be in the map pool. So not going to focus too much on that. But I do want to take a look at Haven, and particularly this attack side that they had on Haven. Because you can see after winning the pistol round, they then didn't win a single round after that. And you might be like, oh yeah, whatever. But what you might not know is Heretics on Haven this year have been almost unbeatable. In fact, ever since changing to that Yoru ISO comp, they've actually only lost once out of 12 games before this, which was to Gen.G and EWC, and their attack sides in VCT games have been insane. They actually have won 61 to 30 rounds, so for every 1 round they lose, they win 2 rounds. So they're averaging an 8-4 half on attack side, and yet they kind of got destroyed by Na'Vi. So let's take a look at what's been going wrong for them, and let's start with round number 15. Now, this is their bonus round. It's not a round that they are expected to win, and overall things don't start off, too crazily or too, bad or whatever, right? They start with this kind of A default over here. They push back the Sova. They bring the second player over towards A. All is fine. All is well. There's no problem with what they are doing right now. And then they're actually going to retreat from this and come back and, come and go towards Garage. Now, one thing I do want to note here, because we will see this in a future round as well, is just take a look at the setup that Na'Vi have over towards C, right? They've got the turret out here, the kind of Gen.G turret, and they've got kind of 2 players here ready to swing off the back of that turret as well. Now, obviously, as we see, the Heretics go for an A default, so they're not there. But then after a bit of time, they actually push out up into this, close C cubby area here, and Alexic can rotate away. And what that means is, of course, when Team Heretics are coming back to come and do this Garage default here, the threat doesn't feel as real, because you still, got this player inserted deep who can hear that nothing is going on towards C long, and it's never going to get challenged. So they are going to go for this little C default here. And actually what's going to happen here is Woot is about to use, he just has used his shield, right? So they've just made the sound cue of the shield going up. So watch Hero now. Right, Hero now is going to insta-pop this Narrow Swarm because he's had the shield. This actually comes, as the drone is coming in. So no one can scale off the back of that drone because of the shield pop. And, Hero obviously retreats, but they do eventually end up taking Garage here. But they do use a ton of util to do it, right? We used a Shock Dart, Drone, Shield, Clone, to come and take Garage here if you're Team Heretics. And they do also use a Smoke in Garage here as well, as you can see. And now they retreat. But as I mentioned, because we've got this deep C insert on the defender side, it's not like everyone's, flooding across expecting, some sort of big C hit here, because they've got, very deep control here, which is giving them a lot of info, even though the turret gets destroyed. Now you'll see that Heretics are going to actually end up going for this B exec. And again, the map here doesn't look too bad for them, right? There's only one guy here, but just again, take a look at Woot's util usage here as we enter onto the site.
Player back to remove any sight lines over Garage. And now, knowing that there's a gap, they'll look towards the B site, hoping that Na'Vi were looking to plug that.
So yeah, Alexic absolutely ends up destroying this play, but again, it's not like this has been a bad round up to this point, right? As I said, when we're coming for this B exec, the map actually, doesn't look too bad, right? We've managed to get 2 players on A by defaulting over towards there. We've managed to create some pressure in towards Garage, so these players, you can see are both worried potentially about this C exec coming in. We've just got 1 player on B. It's not like a bad round up until this point, but now we're gonna see, like, the slight mistakes coming in here, and one I think particularly big mistake. So they're going to go for flash, they're going to go for recon, right? They perhaps enter the site a little bit early because they enter, you know, before they actually, two of them die before this dart has a chance to ping anyone, right? So maybe they go in a little bit early, but it's not like a crazy thing. They also don't have any TPs left, right? So there's no way they can, you know, kind of get deeper in onto the site here either necessarily. So they don't have that option. They do just have to kind of run through. But if you are doing this, one thing that they do have, which I think is criminal that they don't use, is the contingency wall from here, Woot. Right? Like, you just cannot not use this ability in this situation, right? We're going B through a Viper wall. We don't have any deep TPs onto the site. You simply must send this wall one way or the other, right? You just simply must, right? Because you're going to see as they come in here to this site, just look at the two players, right? We're looking both ways. We don't know, you know, where do I look? Which way do I look? Well, you know what you could do? You could send that wall out and then not have to worry as you're coming into the site about one of those sides, right? And yeah, Alexa gets maybe a little bit fortunate with the third kill here. If you take a look at it, you know, I don't even think he sees, you know, Rien's there. He headshots him through the wall. So yeah, we get a little bit unlucky as well. But at the same time, I do think that that was a problem. Now, this round does show you, though, it wasn't necessarily a disaster early on for Heretics. That wasn't a disaster of a round. You maybe got a little bit unlucky. You maybe, you know, didn't quite have the util to do that, or didn't quite use the util correctly for that B exec, but it wasn't a disaster. Let's come to the start of the next round, and I did mention that Na'Vi setup over towards C, and here you've got that same setup again, and also your killjoy is within range. Now this is a very, very important thing that Na'Vi did, and a very important anti-strat to what Team Heretics like to do.
If he can find another multi-frag. Early shock dart, of course, used. Fact is, it's just a pro.
So this is very good by Na'Vi, right? This is the first full gun round, very important round in the game, and Na'Vi decide to go for this anti-strat because often what you will see with this Fnatic comp is you do get this early C default to go and take this ult up. Now this early C default is also good because you do, you know, destroy this turret, but you can see they're waiting for this turret to get destroyed. They then wait for the tap of the orb, right? So they don't swing straight away after the destruction of the turret. They wait for the tap of the orb. They make Heretics think everything is safe, and then triple swing, right? Triple swing, 3 kills to 1. We're feeling good, right? It's really, really good by Na'Vi. It's a very good punish for what Heretics are doing. And of course, at this point, the round again is very, very difficult for Team Heretics to win, and they would end up losing it within basically the first 10 seconds of the round. Now let's skip ahead to round number 18 here. Okay, so they had an eco after that one that we just saw them lose, and so they lost against the, you know, on their eco buy. Now they come to their next full gun round, and they come in here with 4 ults, and they come up with an interesting little plan. We're going to drone out towards B to make sure there's no aggro there. You can see again, actually, we do, you know, we're kind of set up here for something over towards C, but instead it's going to be a Yoru ult, right, with a secondary lurk player coming in here with the ISO, right? So here goes Miniboo with his ult, you know, running up in towards a heaven here is where he's actually going to end. And whilst that's going on, we're inserting Woot just here. It's a really, really nice play. So we're kind of faking a BXX doing both smokes, but Woot has managed to get himself into this really nice spot here. And now Miniboo, they're going to basically come and pinch on the A site, essentially. Really nice round, right? Great construction of the round, and they end up, you know, coming onto the site, and they're going to plant the spike. And now take a look at what happens with that insert from Woot. It's really, really nice.
Available for Na'Vi. You understand why they're not fighting this too much. They have a Hunter's Fury that they're going to put in immediately, but I think it might be just a little bit too late. And Woot, he's caught the perfect timing. Angel and utility out has been a bit of a burden for him.
So this is why this Woot play is such a nice idea from Team Heretics, because it's a great counter as well to the Solve ult that you're expecting to come in, right? It's just such a lovely, lovely idea from them, right? That ends up getting these 2 kills. Okay, Woot eventually is going to get traded here by those 2, but, you know, okay, we get some information. But now there is more ults to come in this round, and it ends up not going in Team Heretics' favor.
And utility out has been a bit of a burden for him so far. A beautiful double from the second. That lockdown's put into play, but now Alexa comes in from behind. This is both of the Sovas have gone down while in their ultimate, and that lockdown hasn't gone. This leaves them trapped. They're going to try and escape this one, and Benji's gone forward. The remaining 2 stuck in the corner, but even while stunned up, they managed to find the kill onto Alexic. That's an important one, and all this time, the clock has been ticking. Xiao is just trying to stick it within the smoke. A second rifle needed for the Fermi, sticking it in front of him! How has Xiao got away with that?
Okay, so from this point in the round, you might call this a series of unfortunate events, right, for Team Heretics, because obviously Hero is going to put down that lockdown, right? But they do have a Silver ult as well. But again, this is where Na'Vi, they're perhaps thinking about this Silver ult because they've sent their Neon, you know, on this flank here, right? So for any Silver ult that's coming back here, he's going to be a big problem. You see the patience, the timing from Alexic is also quite good, right? Because he's just breaking that trip, and now they see where this Silver ult is coming in, and unfortunately Boo is now sending out a smoke after that trip has been destroyed, right? Maybe a slight miscommunication or not fully understanding what's going on. And so now you end up with this free kill here, right, for Alexic before he can destroy the lockdown. And that's so crucial, right? So crucial because now obviously these players from Team Heretics were already expecting that lockdown to be destroyed. So they're not in a good position. Benji can't do much there. And then obviously we see they get a little bit unfortunate in terms of the smoke spam, you know, not going their way, right? And sometimes that is what it is. Particularly, it's a kind of a weird one because Xiao actually, I think, kind of misses this smoke. And so you see Miniboo ends up spamming like way off to the side. You actually see here that, you know, the spike is actually only barely just inside the smoke, which somehow I think actually played into Xiao's hands there a little bit. But you could say that that's a bit unfortunate for Team Heretics. Now, if you're watching this video so far, you're probably thinking, I actually haven't seen too much bad from Team Heretics. It seems like more Na'Vi are playing well, and you know, it's like a high-level game that we're seeing here, and Na'Vi have managed to come out on top of it, apart from maybe some small mistakes by Heretics. And that is the problem, because you see, what Team Heretics need is they need Team Liquid to win in the playoffs, right? That's what they need to make champs. But my point is here that they're in a lot of trouble, because BBL and Na'Vi in particular, or maybe Giants even if they beat Na'Vi, are all playing really well. And this is the problem that Team Heretics have, is that they might not go to champs, because they're playing against teams who are also very good. But I do now want to show you round number 19 as well, which I think does highlight some of the kind of main concern that I would have for Team Heretics that I think has showed up in this game and the BBL game as well, which is just in chaotic moments, they don't seem to be able to formulate very good plans, and we'll see that in this round, right? So this round, they're just going to go for a full C exec here. I don't know what's going on here, to be honest, but they're going to ISO ult, and they're going to find Ruxic here, sorry, Xiao here in the ult, but ultimately, Xiao was having a very good game. Woot ends up losing his ult, right? Not ideal. 4v5 though, you know, we're going to get the spike down. This is still a winnable situation. And particularly now, they're going to actually manage to kill Hero, right? So now 4v4, but you're going to see Team Heretics, they just don't seem to come up with a great plan.
From Miniboo. Needs a little bit more though. Alexic goes back in for the fight, and he's already managed to catch one. Keeps the advantage for Na'Vi. Ruxic selling the idea that there could be someone coming in from behind. In fact, Boo starts to look in that direction. Ruxic gets one, the trade's back, and it comes down to just re-ends. He is the clutch king, but he's called upon once more. First is not quite going to plan, and Ruxic will be there to close.
So yeah, let me slow this down and show you exactly what I mean when I talk about them not being able to formulate a plan, because you know, we do end up getting that kill. So we're trapped on the site here right now. And when you're in these situations, you know, you've got some options in terms of what you want to do, but they just kind of, you know, mill around here. Now, Miniboo gets this kill in Garage. Now, after this, we see Alexic out here. Now, if I just pause it right there, right, and you've got Benji swinging here, and you've got, you know, the Silver swinging here as well, right? So, like, if I pause it there, you would think, I mean, how Alexic gets out of this, you know, with taking no damage is kind of, it's a little bit strange. It kind of looks a bit strange. But now, we also get this trip broken here on the flank, right? And this is where 3v4, this is still a winnable round though, right? This is still a round that we can win, but now I just want you to watch these three just on completely separate pages in terms of what they want to do, right? Because at this point, we're worried about this flank, right? So we've got pressure coming in from all three ways. When you've got pressure coming in from all three ways, probably the best thing to do in one of these situations is just at least two of you just go and fight someone. You know, just go and fight someone. Just take your timing and just go somewhere. Pick some, right? We just Omen Flash this, go that way. We know that this Neon should be alone in Garage, or at least that's what we think. Go this way, right? This guy is potentially coming on the flank of his own. He's quite far away, so I don't love this decision as much. But, you know, just do something, right? Just make a choice. But if we take a look at what Team Heretics do now, they're all just do it, like, just watch this, right? So these two are right here, right? And it looks like, okay, we're going to fight this side. Right, we actually have a trip here as well, you know, so if this Neon comes this way, this guy on the flank should be, you know, we've got some time before he's kind of in the round if he's coming on the flank, or if he comes back to Garage, which is what he's doing. We've got a trip here. If this Neon tries to slide out on us, right, there will be a problem for them, and we're going to fight this. That's what it looks like at this moment. But just take a look at what happens instead, where Boo then turns around. So now you've got Benji swinging this way, right? But now Boo is fighting this on his own. And Rienz isn't really ready to help him either, right? It's like, you've got choices here, right? Rienz could swing this and we could swing this together. Boo could swing this and we can fight this together. But we're all doing different things. We're all in different worlds, right? And that's what ends up costing us. And this is happening too often for them in these situations, right? Where, yeah, we do end up with a trade there, but we end up 2 for 1. Because Benji's fighting, you know, backside on his own. So he's only able to go 1 for 1. We're already in a 3v4, so we can't afford to, you know, just end up going 1 for 1. Otherwise, we end up in that situation, and Na'Vi, you know, play it quite well there in the 2v1 and win the round. So this is the problem that I think Team Heretics are having. And in this game, I haven't shown you, but they lost a 1v3. They almost lost a 1v4 by everyone just swinging out on their own. On Icebox, there was a couple clutch moments as well where they didn't play very well. And I think that that's the problem that I would say Team Heretics are most having right now. Their actual round plans, round formulations of plans, you know, maybe aren't the worst. Maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. But when you're playing against, like, actually decent teams, you know, you do need to be on the same page and come up with plans on the fly in those moments, in those clutches, and just basically pick something to do. And then finally, let's finish with round number 20. And in this one, it's quite simple. Team Heretics just don't have the best player in this server, as you're about to see.
Still going. No one's. If there's anybody, you've got multiple accounts. Yeah. I will not believe that it's legit, because we could be seeing Fnatic and Heretics going out in the same day. Ruxic has already taken out Boo. Bear in mind, they have a weak buy. Ruxic is still going. He's looking to put the nail in the coffin. The man who's been superb all the way through and stands it with an ace. See you later, Heretics. It is Na'Vi that go marching on in the playoffs.